I'm Lynn Cohen, and I'm from Nashville. And you're?
I'm Dr. John Herzfeld, living in Nashville for the last 50 years about.
When were you born, and where were you born?
I was born in Berlin, Germany, on the 17th of November 1906.
And you're married?
Yes.
And was she? Where did you meet her? Was she born?
I met my wife in Chicago. She was living in Nashville, but she was in Chicago for a while. I met her there.
What year did you meet her? Do you remember?
Well, we got married. It was about, must have been 41.
1941. So you were in the United States.
I came in 1940.
In 1940. When you were growing up, what was it like to be Jewish in your town?
At that time in Berlin, there was no difference.
It was fine.
It was perfectly normal, like everybody else.
Describe what it was like. What was life like then?
Well, I grew up, went to school with everybody else. I mean, MA school, high school, college, medical school.
So you were treated fine. There was you didn't feel
no discrimination at all at that time.
What kind of education did you receive?
I'm a physician.
So you were able to study what you wanted. Did you receive a Jewish education in any way? Anything that was religious, or what was fairly?
No.
It was pretty secular then.
Yeah.
Okay. Were you involved in any youth movements? Any?
No, I was very much involved in sports. Belonged to sport clubs.
So was it like the United States now?
Hmm?
Was it like the United States now? Does the way our children are growing up?
Right.
You grew up that way?
Same way.
So you can see it all over again? You can see that we're all involved in sports and...
Very much in sports, always was.
Did the times feel like now? I mean, was it...
Pardon me, I don't understand.
Were the times then like the times now? Just...
Yeah. It was just a normal childhood, normal growing up, normal studying.
How did the Nazis' rule in Germany first affect you? How did you...
Well, I tell you, I had graduated, but in Europe, all Europe, I think, in Germany, you graduate as a physician, but you do have to make an extra exam to get the title of doctor. And I was in between those periods. You have to write a thesis, but I was in between those periods. I was in an internship. I had to finish that first. And after the first 3 years of my internship, I would have to switch for another rotation. And that was when Hitler was in between. And I had to quit. I couldn't go anywhere. I just couldn't do anything.
They wouldn't let you finish?
But
they wouldn't let you study?
Finished, I mean...
What year was that?
That was in 33.
So you couldn't, you were right in between finishing?
I mean, I had finished the studies. I just needed the internship and an extra examination for the title of doctor.
And you couldn't do it?
And I couldn't do it.
They said no, because you're Jewish?
I couldn't do it. I could not get into any hospital to work. So I just could sit around. That would have been the only thing I could have done.
How did that feel?
Bad. I was awful. So I got out very fast. I mean, see, I finished my rotation at the end of March, and I left Germany on the 20th of May, 1933.
So you had really almost no choice. You had to leave in order to finish up.
If I wanted to do anything, I had to leave.
Did you have to leave your whole family then? You left your whole family behind?
Yeah. Yeah, I went by myself.
How old were you then? Were you?
Oh, you figured out. 27.
That was a big journey for a 27-year-old.
Yeah. I was even only 26 since my birthday's in November, so...
Did you have any feeling of Hitler or what was going on? I guess he said you couldn't do anything, so...
No. I mean, otherwise I had nothing personal happened to me or so on. I just couldn't do anything. I could not go on.
Was that happening to other people also? Did it affect your parents?
Yeah, well, my parents are not quite yet at that time.
So just you. What did they do? Did they
My father was a physician, and he lost his position for an insurance company at that time. And since I was gone, I didn't know too much. They lived.
So he lost his
kind of
job.
before. Pardon me?
He lost his job?
Yeah. He could not go on. He still could do a little private practice, but he never had done too much of that, so that was all.
Did they want you to leave? Did they encourage you to?
Oh yeah, oh yes.
And they didn't want to leave? Did they want?
No, they didn't want to go at that time. So you wanted to know where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do. Well, I had no way to go to the United States. I always intended to go to the United States, but I had no way to get there. And I had a connection which made it possible for me to go to Italy. And there, I could not get work, but I could finish my studies there to finally make my title as doctor.
So you did do that?
I did do that, and I had some friends in the university clinics there, so I worked occasionally, to assist in eye surgery with a professor there, but that was about all I could do.
But as a Jew, you were allowed to work and go to school in Italy?
At that time, yeah.
It was still open?
Yes,
it was
but
still
I mean,
okay.
There was no difference there, Jew or non-Jew. A foreigner could not just go to work.
So it was just that you were a foreigner?
So I just did a little volunteer work at the clinic and got paid sometime for some surgery as a professor, but generally I had no money.
Yeah, how did you survive?
Well, at that time my parents still could send me a little once in a while.
So you lived on what they could send you?
I lived in Italy between first in Padua, where I studied there, where I got that exam, and then later on in Naples, where I had to make a state board examination there. But then I just was sitting around and waiting for a chance to go to the United States. See, my brother-in-law, who's a physician too, he had a connection in Chicago. He got the visa, and he went to Chicago in, must have been 1936 or 1937.
Oh, okay.
And I was in Naples at that time, and my sister, his wife, and their daughter, my niece, they stayed for a little while there at Capri, close to Naples, until they could, my brother-in-law could get them over there. And then I just had to sit and wait till they would be ready to get me a visa.
How did that feel? Just
terrible. Nothing to eat and nothing to do. It doesn't feel good, I tell you that.
So you had to wait around, and you knew you couldn't go back?
No.
Did you ever think of going back to your town?
The first 2 years, I'm 34 and 35, twice I went back to Berlin for a visit. 34 was my father's 70th birthday, so I went there. And then I went more for a week or so in 35. But that was it. That was the last time I was in Germany.
That was the last time you ever saw them?
No, my father died in 39.
In his home?
A cancer in Berlin. And
in his own home? Was that?
No, I couldn't go back.
Yeah.
And my mother finally got to Chicago. She got a visa. She came out. I don't know how she got out. That was very over Sweden and something. Somebody helped her out, but all by herself, and she was certainly aged then. And then she went to my sister and brother-in-law, stayed with them. So they were all there in Chicago.
So your immediate family all got out?
My immediate family, my father died, and the rest of the family they're all out. That was my only sister there.
They were all safe. Was there any, when you go back to your town, did you notice any, for the non-Jewish population, did they seem to care? Did they know what was going on?
Oh, in 34? 35.
Did you feel anything? Was there anybody?
Well, there was. I mean, my fraternity which was a mixed one, was closed up because
It was mixed?
a mixed and quite a few Jews in there, so that was closed. And I had to get out of the sports club. I couldn't have gone back in or so. I mean, I didn't intend to stay anywhere. I mean, in visiting there, but didn't belong to it anymore.
Yeah.
That was all I noticed.
Did anybody seem to say you should be able to, I mean, did people seem to notice what was going on, or there was no real murmur?
Listen, I didn't have any connection with anything except my family and just 2 visits.
So you were really gone. When you left,
That was it.
that was it.
That was it.
And you were glad to be out.
Yeah. See, and then, let me see what we were up next.
Well, you were.
I still had my German passport, and then there was an expiration. I don't know when that was expired. I think it expired about in 1937. And so I went to the German consulate and wanted it renewed. And the consulate said me, "You were ausgebürgert, I mean, not German anymore for several years already."
Oh, because you were in Italy? So they wouldn't give you a passport?
I didn't have any German papers, paper. Then I showed you that.
Yeah, show us the passport.
That was it.
How did you get that passport?
Well, they told me about it in Italy. I mean, the American consulate told me what to do, and I had to apply there.
So the American consulate told you how to get the passport, the Italian passport?
Well, they said, I think they did. That's it.
Yeah, show your picture too. That's so neat. Is that good?
Maybe if you can just let him hold on.
Yeah, there's this picture. And that was how many years ago? That was 1937? Did you get it in 37?
Well, it was in 1939, I think it was made out. I got it. No, 1940.
You got it in 1940. So what happened? You were in Italy, and you were waiting to get out.
Right.
And how did it happen? How did you get out? You kept waiting.
Finally, then the war had already started in Germany, and I did. Italy was not in the war yet, so I was pretty peaceful there. I mean, with my colleagues who just couldn't do anything, but didn't have much to eat. But I was not personally involved until I do not know that year exactly when it was. It must have been 1938 or something like that. Hitler came visiting Mussolini in Rome, and I was in Naples at that time. They put there were several, I was not the only German Jew living there now, put all of us in the state penitentiary. I mean, not just to, as I would say, interned.
In 1938, they put you all in the state penitentiary?
Yeah, but that was for the time while Hitler was in Germany. I was afraid that one of us could do something to Hitler. So I was in there, was about a week.
They were afraid that somebody would assassinate him, so they put everybody in the penitentiary?
Every German Jew was somewhere, all over Italy, especially in Naples, they was in Rome.
How did they round you up? How did they find you?
Everybody had to register. Everybody was registered with the police in Italy. You didn't stay in Italy without being known.
Did they make an announcement you all had to go to the penitentiary within a few days?
One policeman came and picked me up where I lived.
How did that feel?
Didn't feel very good, but I knew it wouldn't be too bad, because at least I had a very good. I was put in the hospital section of the penitentiary.
Because you're a doctor, or
Because I was a doctor, and one of my friends of the doctors in the clinic knew the doctor of the person, so they put me.
they made sure. So you were okay.
I was okay. I mean, I was in prison, but I was
You could walk around.
in the cell.
So you're in a real
Yeah.
cell. Could you eat? Did they give you
Oh
food?
yeah, that was. I was taken care of. I was okay.
But in just a little cell by yourself? Were you by yourself?
Yeah, by myself.
For a
I was
week?
really in a hospital cell, because I mean that was that section where they put me. So then when Hitler left, they sent home again.
So then you got
It was
released.
about a week. Yeah, I don't know how long it was.
A week in prison. So now you can say you know what that's like.
Yeah. I mean, if any prisoner would have it as good as I had it there, wouldn't
wasn't so
wouldn't
bad.
be too bad. I had better food there than when I was living by myself.
I was wondering
That's
if you didn't get more food. So it wasn't a bad
No, that
experience. You weren't depressed. It wasn't that kind of.
No. I knew it was just very temporary. I knew that.
So as soon as they left Italy, you were out. They let you all out. They let everybody.
Yeah, everybody to where he was living before.
That's incredible.
So
what
well,
happened?
that went on till 1940. I mean, I was always waiting for my relatives in Chicago to get me the visa. Nothing.
So you're just waiting for them. Yeah.
Just waiting. And finally, I knew that it was very, very close that Italy was going to enter the war. But in that case, I certainly would have been unable to leave anymore. So I just sent a cable over there. War is imminent. Please send ticket. And then finally,
They
the
sent.
ticket came. And I got out on the last ship. It was a Manhattan. The last ship to leave Italy at the time. At the same time, one of the Italian cruise ships was supposed to leave. Was a Vesuvius, I think. He didn't go anymore that day. So you saw how close the war was. But the day our ship arrived in New York in the harbor, that day was the 10th of May, I think, Italy declared war on the United States. So that how close that shave was.
Did you feel really anxious? Did you know? I mean, did you have a feeling
Sure,
you
I
were
said,
scared?
See, and then, I mean, you didn't see that war and remember the film, did you?
Oh, yeah, I know, Warren.
But they showed what happened to the Jews in Italy. They did the same thing as they did in Germany. So if I would have stayed there, that's where I would have ended up. So really, it was the last moment that I could get out.
Did you know, when you were in Italy, did you have an idea of what was happening to the Jews in Germany? And
Oh, yeah.
you knew?
I mean, there were newspapers.
And
I mean, they didn't have it as explicit. But besides, I still was, as long as my mother still was in Germany, I mean, we rode. So
she knew what was going on,
Oh,
and
yeah.
she told you.
Oh, sure, everybody knew what was going on.
But she was able to escape being in a concentration camp. She
No,
never had to.
No.
She got out. Did she leave around when you left in 40? When
Yeah,
did
no,
she
she
leave?
left early. I mean, I said she was already
In
with
Chicago?
my sister in Chicago. She was in 37, I think. I'm not 100%.
Oh, so she
sure.
left much earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Let me interrupt here. Let's change
Okay.
the tape.
You had to know somebody here.
Right, you had to get somebody to give you an affidavit.
We know that you're related to the. We can bring that up again. There's some of these questions you answered.
Yeah, no, with the May family, I had nothing to do. My wife my wife's maiden name is May, but it was not they
Not
knew
related.
it. They knew the Mays, but they're not related.
Let's see.
Okay, let me go back up.
Okay, we don't need to introduce it again, do we?
No.
Okay.
Okay. You said that your family in Chicago helped to get you out. They sent the.
Yeah. They sent
the
they got the
ticket,
affidavit. They sent me
the
that.
affidavit. If in once you got to Chicago, did you know people that you could then do that for? Could you do that, or did you think of?
No, I
Possibly.
couldn't because I didn't
You weren't a
make
citizen.
enough money out of it. I went in an internship in Chicago and a residency there, and then
Did you have to do it all over again? Did you have to do some of your?
No. I
Schooling?
just had to take examinations. I mean, I had to study for those and get examinations for the license. Got an internship and residency. And then I went into service.
And did you live? You did go into service. Did you live with your sister, your brother-in-law, and your mom?
Until I went into service, yes.
So you lived all there together until you went to the service?
Right.
And then you went into the United States Army.
Yeah. See, and I was not a citizen yet. So I went in as a private.
What year was that?
That was in 1942.
What happened in the Army? Did you?
Well, I was army like everybody in the army. I went to medical basic, which was fun.
Were you?
And I went to a little hospital unit. And finally, it was time to get the citizenship faster when I was in service. So after 2 years, I finally got my citizenship after another year. And then I got my commission as a first lieutenant.
Oh, so you became a first lieutenant. Did you ever think about going back to Germany?
No, I would have liked to go over there, but they sent me to the Pacific.
So they didn't send you to be a liberator. And what happened in the Pacific? What did you? You did.
I just did
You
the
saw
war in the
war
Pacific.
and
See, there's a field hospital first, and then with the infantry regiment.
Were you? I mean, was it? Did you want to fight? Did you feel like you wanted?
Yeah, see, I volunteered for induction. I wasn't
So you did that because you want.
For the drive, yeah. I wanted to, knew I could get my citizen father then and could get to do something like that. And I think I owed the United States for me to go in.
Did you feel a lot of anger, like you really wanted to fight and get rid of the Nazis?
Yeah, but I just was not sent over that way.
But that would have been fine.
States. At that time, I spoke fluently German, fluently Italian. So they sent me to the Pacific.
So you wanted to go back?
Yeah, I would have liked.
And fight.
Right. Well, I was a medical officer in the army. I would have gone where, had to go wherever they sent me. You went service, weren't you?
No, but that's par for the course for the government. Someone speaks fluent German, fluent Italian, they send them.
With a real understanding of what's going on there.
Yeah.
Did you, when you were here, were you struck by the real difference in life in the United States? And you'd been all over Europe.
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, I wouldn't know if the life would be much different. I mean, in the normal European life before Hitler, I don't think it was too much different.
Yeah. So you were very happy then, and when you came to the United States, it was a good life again.
Oh yeah, sure was.
And so the impact of Hitler, the impact that Hitler had on you.
Well, it just cut off my life, and I had to make a new one.
2 times, Italy, and again in the United States. What is that? Making a new life, was that? How did you face that? Was that a scary thing? Was it a?
No.
Is it something that's a challenge for you?
I'm kind of easygoing, so it was not too hard for me.
And you never gave up. You became a doctor.
No. I could have given up in Italy, I didn't.
It never really stopped you.
Mm-mm.
How do you feel about the people that it did stop? I mean, that he...
What do you mean?
In Germany, the people that he, you got to leave. How about all those people that he did cut off their lives? I mean, that he stopped.
Yeah, it sure did. I mean, they ended up in the concentration camps or died. I have no close relatives who went there, but some cousin and some acquaintances disappeared. I never heard from again.
Do you feel like you were lucky, or the timing was right? What?
Yeah, but time was right, because for me, I mean, I wouldn't have to leave Germany that fast. I wouldn't have to. But what should I do? Could have sat around there.
No, you had to leave.
So that was the only way, the best way, the only way for me to go there.
So you took the signs and you made sense of it. You said, I have to go.
Right.
Were there lots of people that just stayed and sat around? Like you said, you don't like sitting around. Did lots of people just sit and wait for it to get better?
I'm not sure about that, but I imagine there were some. But I really am not sure. I couldn't tell that for sure.
Was it hard for you to get to Italy then, or was it very easy? Could you just leave?
No, I went first to London, to England, from Germany. I had some acquaintance there, but there was no chance for me to do anything, go on anything. It would have been very hard to finish my studies there. And then it opened up through a relative of mine. It opened up a occasion in Italy, in Padua. He knew a professor there and sent me recommendation for that. That was the reason I went to Italy. And that was the right choice then.
So you had to have a contact there in order to get it?
Pardon me?
You needed to know somebody there who could get you a contact in order to even study there. So you could have gotten stuck.
Once I got in of it, but that professor, he helped me to get into the university and so on.
Did you have to work very hard to get out? Could you see yourself having been stuck in Germany? Did you have to work on on contacts and to get out? Was it a hard struggle?
No, that was not hard. No, not at that time, since I got out that fast.
So it was easy.
There was no problems there.
It was still easy then.
Yeah.
Okay, when you look back at all the changes and all the feelings that you had, what was the dominant feeling, the main feeling with all this transition and leaving and change? What was the main impact?
Well, as far as looking back, as far as Germany, Hitler was rage. But I always have been a great optimist, so I always thought everything would come out all right eventually.
So you were really angry, but you knew that you could make it work. You probably trusted yourself very much.
Yeah, well, I sure had to adjust a lot.
And trusted your own instincts and resources, and you never stopped trying to become a doctor.
Right, well, here, I had finished in Germany. It only was a title, it was all I needed. But
so you did it over and over again, so you had to redo it in Italy?
Well, yeah, I had to. I mean, Italy, it took me a little over a year, 2 years to get that all done. And then here in the United States, well, all I needed to take a state board, to get a license. I had to get a license in one state, get a license in Illinois. And for that, I had to make the exam, and I had to have at least 1 year of internship. I did that, and then I still stayed for residency. And then by that time, when that was over, it was time to go into service.
What do you think of some of us who, I guess in our generation, or in this new generation and my generation, we may give up a little easier? Do you have some wisdom, some words of wisdom to tell us?
Well, the only thing I can tell, try to stick with it.
You did.
I did.
You certainly did, and the times were not with you. That had to be an incredible mountain to climb. You had countries in your way.
It wasn't easy, but I always looked forward, it will be all right. Well, it did.
Maybe doctors need that kind of optimism. That's truly wonderful.
Yeah.
Do you give that to your grandchildren? Do they have that?
I hope they do. The one is graduated from Princeton this year. The other one is a freshman in Virginia.
So when you approach your own job, your everything that you've done here, what kind of doctor are you? What do you practice?
Well, I'm could say semi-retired now. I worked for 30 years for the United States Veteran Administration.
Oh, okay.
After I came out of service. And then I worked for the state a little, and then up to now I'm working for a plasma center. And just a couple of weeks ago I went part-time.
Did you work for the VA for a reason? Were you very affected by?
Well, see, I had really not much money or anything like that, and I kind of liked that idea, so I applied. I went then. Started here in Nashville with a regional. See, I got to Nashville really because my wife, as I said, I met in Chicago. They lived here. Her family lived here, and so I ended up here after the war. And started with the regional office in here, and then went with the Veterans Hospital for 30 years.
Do you think that some of the reason you worked with VAs and in that hospital was your experience in your life with war?
Well, I liked the idea to have a certain amount of regular life. I mean, this, as in contrast to get into practice and not know how it was going to be, and had no experience in that, so
you could have a normal life,
I
normal
think
hours.
my Army life carried over into VA life.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I hope.
Did you ever go back home, back to Europe?
No, I never have.
Do you want to?
Oh, it's a little late now. I'm a little too old for that now.
Were you ever interested in seeing it again?
I would like to go, but I don't think it's going to help.
You would like to go?
Yeah, almost probably would.
How about with the East and West coming together? How does the wall come tumbling down?
Oh, yes, that was great.
Do you feel like it's great?
Yeah, I think it's great because I'm in Berlin, but Berlin was such a beautiful city. It used to be. Not anymore since the war, but and then that wall was terrible. I mean, it didn't involve anybody I knew, but families were separated and couldn't get together.
And you loved the city.
Yeah.
So to see it again would bring back all kinds of memories, feelings.
It would, if I would go back, but I don't think I will anymore.
Yeah.
Not at my age.
What do you think with the country back as a whole again? What do you think that means for us, for Jews, for the world?
I am a little doubtful, but I don't think it ever can happen like it before. I mean, I don't think it can ever be done.
You don't think it would ever? You don't think there'd ever be another Hitler?
I don't think so.
Why?
Well, I think first of all, the German people have learned enough, I think. See, the generation now, they didn't live at that time, but they knew they have learned what happened. I think they know. I don't think they're going to anything like that could happen again.
Are you in touch with any old friends?
No, not anymore.
You lost
I
all
have
that.
nobody over there anymore.
But you kind of have a faith that they understand that they did something they should never do again.
I hope so.
Yeah. And you didn't feel when the strength is back again of the country being a whole. That didn't. You didn't say, "Uh-oh."
I don't think so.
You said it's.
I don't think the Germans want it anymore, and I don't think anybody else would let them. You know. European community is much too united now and strength.
Do you think it could happen anywhere? Do you see, I mean, you said that we're living like pretty much and growing up pretty much like you did then. For your grandchildren and for my children and for us, do you see that there could be a monster like that? I mean, he was a monster.
He sure was. No, I don't think anything like that can
ever happen.
Will ever be, no.
Because we know?
We know. Everybody knows.
You don't think the denial was so great? Or that it is great now?
Yeah, you know, there are some you cannot tell anything, you won't learn, they won't learn. But they are a minority. I don't think they can ever get into anything like that.
Did you ever have feelings here like you did then when you had to literally run from your own town or leave your own town? Do you ever have feelings here that you see signs or feel that kind of discrimination or anti-Semitism ever in America? Did you ever have that feeling that you must have had when you had to leave and you were treated so badly?
No, I have not noticed it here.
So you've never felt...
I'm sure it exists a bit, but I haven't had no personal knowledge of any.
So the feelings have never come back again? Those feelings of... I don't know, what were they? When you're put in prison and when you couldn't finish becoming a doctor, what were those feelings? Were they...
What do you mean, in German?
Yeah, what was the feeling? To feel it again...
I don't think anything I could ever happen again.
That would make you feel that way?
Yeah.
Kind of like you weren't... like you didn't count, I guess. So becoming a doctor and raising a family and having a wife that loves you has given you a life that...
Right.
That has a lot of meaning.
Very much meaning. The best life I could have.
Do you think that because of all that you went through, you value it all more?
Pardon me?
Do you feel that you value all you have now more because of what you went through then? Did it give you something?
It must have given me some more strength too.
More strength. So it did give you strength.
So. I think so.
Did it give you anything else? Did it give you a faith in anything, in a God, and in Judaism, in yourself?
I don't think it has changed me that day at all.
So when it comes to believing in God, do you feel like you do, or that affected it in any way?
I don't think it has affected it any.
Do you have a strong belief? Or do you?
Not a strong belief, no.
Did what happened in Germany affect your belief?
No.
You're a doctor, so that must affect your belief.
Yeah.
You see a lot. So if all this gave you that strength to accept and appreciate, did doctoring do as much of that as all that happened before?
I think so.
Okay.
Well, let's change the tape.
Okay, I think story, because I want you to, if we missed it.
No, but I told you. I told you all I know.
We hit the hot spots.
Okay, then go ahead.
Okay, if you had a message to leave for your grandchildren or for people in Nashville or whoever will see this tape from your life, from what happened and all the history you've seen, what would that be? That's a hard question.
Yeah, very hard. I think from my side of it, be optimistic like I am, and always try to see the best in everything.
In people, even after what you saw, look for the best.
If it is bad, you throw it away, forget it. But just always try to see the good things.
Let go of the bad things. Look for the good things. And make it work the best you can.
Right.
And you became a doctor, a healer, really, somebody who heals people and tries to make things better. And so you've done that all your life.
I think so.
So when you saw really bad things, you'd let it go. You knew it existed,
Yeah.
but you let it go. Your turn.
Tell me a little bit about what it was like. I have a real hard time trying to imagine what it would be like to come to the realization that I have to leave my home, you know, where my family was.
Yeah.
It's real hard for me to imagine how things could become that bad to come to that realization. What were some of the things that happened that were those benchmark things, and for you to make the decision of I've got to leave my home, I've got to get to another country somewhere?
It was very, very hard to leave them alone. I had never left home. I studied one semester in Freiburg out of Berlin. All the other time I was in Berlin, so I never had been out of there anyway. So it was extremely hard for me to go away. But I knew it had to be done. There was no hope for me there.
Was it difficult to understand what was happening to you and your family and your friends?
Yes, I mean, it was so unexpected and so completely new, because my life had been the same as anybody else in Germany. There was no discrimination or anything before.
That had to hurt real deeply. I mean, that had to really hurt.
Sure.
That's a big
Yeah.
rejection.
See, my friends in the sport club are gone. I mean, I couldn't go there anymore. Couldn't do anything anymore. It hurt.
So everything was closed off to you because you were Jewish.
Right.
That's the rage.
Was it a gradual process, or is there some event that really made the difference for you?
It got much worse after I was out already. Well, you heard from the Kristallnacht, That was when that was when the worst thing came. But I was out long before that. As you saw, I could go back for a week of vacation. So.
Weren't you afraid to go back?
No, not at that time.
You weren't afraid at all?
Not at that time, I didn't say that. See, because I left not because I was persecuted or handled or anything like that. It was only because I just couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
That was my reason to leave that right away.
What were some of the... Did you try to do anything before you decided, well, I just got to leave? Did you try to fight it in any way, or?
Well, I first tried, if I could get a hospital, to get into a hospital to complete my intern year. The hospital that was down, and even there was a so-called Jewish hospital in Berlin. They couldn't take me either.
So you kept trying, and then you knew you had to go.
Yeah. When I saw that, in a few weeks I was gone.
So now, part of a message would probably be, you did look for the good. You did. You looked for what you could do.
Yeah.
And now you probably, in your life, to not be able to do, it's not good. For you, doing and being a part of things is probably everything.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was just, I could not see a life for me there. Because first of all, I didn't know how bad it would get. I never expected it that bad as it really came out there. But just for me, just to not having a way to work as a physician, be a physician there, that was it,
Was that a real battle within yourself to almost turn your back on your homeland and
I hated to leave, yes.
but you just had to.
I had to. I felt I had to.
Or he wouldn't be here now. He'd be a dead man.
I would be, yeah.
Probably.
Right?
What do you think would have happened to you if you'd have stayed?
I don't know. I mean, eventually most I would have ended up in a concentration camp, I imagine.
But when you left, that fear wasn't quite there.
No,
Yeah.
that was, I didn't know anything about that at all yet.
But he's a doer, and so he knew he had to do.
Yeah.
And you also keep looking for ways to make things work. That's what a doctor is.
Yeah.
It makes sense. It's a wonderful story.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think you've given us a lot.
Thank you for your time. Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about?
No, thank you. It's enough.
Thank you so much.